Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, walking outside, and realizing the country you live in has completely vanished. We look at the borders drawn around us and assume they are fixed fixtures of geography. The passports in our drawers and the flags on our buildings feel completely permanent. But buried inside historical archives are records of actual places, nations with citizens, distinct cultures, and recognized borders that were entirely wiped from history. The globe we study in school is less a final document and more a fragile collection of accidents, quiet compromises, and near misses, built directly on top of the ghost nations that almost survived. Occasionally, rival empires reach a stalemate over a valuable piece of land. Instead of fighting a war, they draft an agreement that artificially creates an entirely new, independent territory to serve as a buffer. In the early 19th century, a border dispute in Europe resulted in neutral Morsnet. This tiny buffer state existed for over 100 years without a monarch, a standing army, or a cohesive national identity. Residents built businesses and formed a functioning society. A dedicated group even tried to turn the territory into a peaceful global utopia, adopting Esperanto as a universal language to eliminate nationalistic divisions. After the Second World War, officials applied the exact same bureaucratic mechanism to a highly contested European port. Treaties established the Free Territory of Trieste, placing it completely outside the control of both Italy and Yugoslavia. People living there suddenly found themselves navigating a bizarre legal twilight zone. Families had to produce new identification papers just to travel down the street, entirely unsure of which nation they actually belonged to. Buffer states like these exist at the mercy of the powers that invented them. When the original need for a neutral space vanishes, whether through a new treaty or shifting border, these nations are often deleted by the same bureaucratic pen that created them. Other nations emerge strictly from the chaos of collapsing empires, governed by local militias filling a sudden power vacuum. The Dawn Republic appeared briefly in the aftermath of the Russian Empire. Across the Atlantic, the Republic of West Florida existed along the Gulf Coast in 1810 for barely a few weeks before being absorbed. Then there are places born entirely from individual audacity. The Kingdom of Araucania and Patagonia was declared by a lone French adventurer in South America who convinced locals to recognize his fabricated authority. Without the weight of established power, these fledgling territories often found their borders collapsing inward. Larger, established neighbors frequently viewed these vacuums not as independent nations, but as opportunities for expansion. International survival usually requires more than just a flag and a name. For these ghost nations, the lack of a standing army or a recognized currency meant that when historical giants moved, the smaller republics were often reintegrated into the empires surrounding them. History also contains massive, fully legitimate blueprints for nations that were deleted right before they could officially be born. The early 20th century Austro-Hungarian Empire struggled to manage multiple ethnic groups. To prevent fracturing, reformers proposed the United States of Greater Austria. This plan divided the land into a federation of equal states to diffuse ethnic tensions. But political reforms require time. An assassin in Sarajevo killed the heir to the throne, detonating the precise tensions the federation was designed to fix. The resulting war tore the continent apart. The blueprints for a peaceful, federated empire were buried beneath millions of casualties and shattered cities. Even the most carefully constructed legislation can be permanently derailed by a single, unpredictable act of violence. Try to picture an alternate timeline where those buffer states, fragile republics, and massive federations actually survived to shape modern geopolitics. The modern political map is the result of thousands of specific variables: a successful treaty, a won battle, a delayed train, falling exactly the way they did. The forgotten borders hidden away in archival documents are echoes of very real societies that came remarkably close to becoming our current reality. We treat geography as an unchangeable fact. If history had shifted even slightly, the country you call home today